The first days of the invasion were the most tragic for the city. Having surrounded it, the Russians began to enter the regional center in several directions. Then, on March 1st, in the Lilac park, the Russian army was met by fighters of the territorial defense. Molotov cocktails against heavy equipment. All 17 people died on the spot.
Оттуда шла колонна россиян.
A convoy of Russians moved from there, and here in the park were ours, just civilians. They are without uniforms, nothing. They came with incendiary mixtures, with bottles, against the convoy of armored personnel carriers. And that's it, they started shooting.
Alexander saw all this from the window of his house. The bodies lay in the park for several days. The dead were then buried by a local priest. In May, in the still captured city in the Lilac park, Kherson residents built a memorial. The Russians turned the local pre-trial detention center into a torture facility. Those who were kept in basements were subjected to more than one type of abuse. According to the police, the detainees were beaten with bats and metal pipes, tortured with electricity, tied up and imitated execution. The walls here are riddled with pain. On one of them, the words of the Russian anthem. The prisoners were forced to learn them from memory.
There was a lot of technology, there was a lot of violence. There were many people who were brought in handcuffs, with bags over their eyes, over their heads. They were held, tortured, used various forms of violence, physical, moral, intellectual. Who could and kept, this is clear, but to live at the same time in a free Ukraine, in which we lived for 30 years, and it was unbearable to endure all this. It's very hard.
Any local resident loyal to Ukraine could be captured by the Russian invaders. First of all, the Russians were hunting for activists, police and military personnel. They also searched for their relatives.
I got here at night. At first there was another room, some kind of basement. As far as I understand, I guess, it was the facilities of either the former Court of Appeal or a basement of the regional administration. You are on some kind of chair, your hands are tired, a hat is on your head. And when they don't like something, as I understand it, it was a stun gun, which they beat in the neck and ears.
In the liberated part of the Kherson region, 11 illegal places of detention of civilians were found. 4 of them were used as torture chambers. According to the Ukrainian police, 63 bodies of civilians in the Kherson region, tortured to death by Russian invaders, were found. 436 criminal proceedings with signs of war crimes have been opened.
Until now, several heads of both cities and United Territorial communities and villages have not been released and have not been located. Activists and people who simply took a pro-Ukrainian position and did not obey the occupation authorities.
On the night when the Russian troops fled the city, they set fire to the pre-trial detention center and released all the prisoners, more than 400 people. Now they are all wanted. Half of those who escaped have already been detained.
Hello, I'm talking to you first.
Now residents have been receiving pensions, post offices and banks are opening in the city, Wi-Fi hotspots are operating, phones are charged by generators.
There is no electricity at all, no water or electricity yet, but we are waiting. We will endure everything, if only everything was good. Communication appears, it's already good. We begin to communicate with other people, other countries. We reassure relatives. Someone offers to leave, but I'm not going to leave.
Also, residents of the city can already receive part of the administrative services. The mobile service center of the Ministry of Internal Affairs for the restoration of documents has begun work.
Most of them renew their driver's licenses. The most up-to-date service, because the people who applied mostly want to go abroad. These are women.
Law enforcement officers emphasize that it is too early to return to Kherson. Now the city is closed for entry and exit. Demining is in progress. Explosive objects are found at every turn. At the entrance to the city, sappers are looking for mines on both sides of the highway, checking every centimeter of roads and fields.
To date, more than 7,000 explosive objects have been defused, and this is only a few days of work. Our main goal is to clear critical infrastructure as quickly as possible, so that local authorities and public utilities can resume gas, water and heat supplies, what civilians need.
While retreating from Kherson, the Russians mined everything they could – houses, cars and even the bodies of the dead. But first of all, administrative buildings. This due to the huge number of explosive objects found in the main police department of the region. The sappers were forced to carry out a controlled explosion of the building. Reported by Serhiy Kulyas, Daria Utovchenko, UATV News.